Best case scenario, team number two. Day full of positivity today. This team was team number two in the entire country last season. They were team number two in the national championship game last season. And they have a lot of fun things returning, a lot of unproven things returning. Should be interesting to see how high you are on some of Purdue's unproven things here. We're going to go player by player and do a best case scenario. What does it look like if they hit their ceiling this year? As we just did in the Illinois segment, if you haven't listened to that, if you're listening to this individually, not all of these are going to happen. Like one player's individual ceiling is probably going to come at the expense of some other ones. So keep that in mind as you listen through this. But I am curious to see how high you are on some specific elements of this Purdue team. Let's start. Actually, do you have any words before we start? I feel like this is a divisive enough topic. You should probably just take the floor for a moment.
None of this matters because Dan Hurley's still the coach of UConn. So this, I guess, is a fun exercise for number two.
Cool. Great. Glad that that's where we're at. Let's start with who I think is the best player in the Big Ten next season. And a lot of people have given us flack for believing this. It's Braden Smith, aka the bad man. What's the best case for Braden?
Before I say this, Greg, if I told you that Braden was going to average 15, 5, and 8, what would you say?
That seems low.
Okay, that's what Tyler Kolek averaged last year. I think that I don't know. That was just a little fun exercise for someone to mull over. I think I think Braden Smith is gonna average. He's definitely gonna have to carry more of a scoring load, I think. I think he averages around 17 a game and 7 rebounds and 7 assists.
Okay, so to be clear, he averaged 12, 6, and 8 last season. So if Kolek was 15, 5, and 8, Braden was just 1 3-pointer less per game and as high or higher in everything else. I always go back to this comparison cart, and I think it's a good one. Denzel Valentine's senior season at Michigan State, he was the National Player of the Year. He averaged 19 points a game, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds.
Crazy.
That's the best case season for Braden Smith, though. That is
Right
the
now.
best case one of one. Is he is the National Player of the Year, and he puts up 19, 7, and 7.
See, I didn't think you thought he was going to get to that ceiling until his senior year.
I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's likely. But, like, if we're just doing best case, I don't know how anybody can deny that he's possibly capable of that. He's a triple-double threat. Like,
Yeah, I mean, his best case is All-American, Big Ten Player of the Year, first team All Big Ten. What he did last year, first team All Big Ten, and the stats increase. He's a killer.
all right, so we're going with that. So do you think there's any world at all that he's the National Player of the Year or just the Big Ten Player of the Year?
I don't know if Purdue will be. Well, the thing is, though, if he's National Player of the Year, Purdue's nasty.
It's a best case, Cart.
Yeah, there is a world. Yes,
There is a world. That's
there's a world.
The best case for Braden, the bad man, is National Player of the Year. Fletcher Loyer,
Yes.
what is his best case scenario?
He scores in the national championship game if they get there next year. I think Fletcher's best case scenario is he leads the Big Ten in 3-point percentage and makes.
How many points a game?
15.
Okay. That'd be a jump. He was 10 a game last year. My best case, I put the glasses on. That's because my best case for Fletcher Loyer is that he's blind to the haters. I think that's what needs to happen. Fletch needs to put the glasses on and say, yeah, I know everybody's doubting me. Everybody's skeptical. Everybody's saying these freshmen could come in and take my role. Shut the hell up. I've started 60 games on the back-to-back Big Ten champs, and I'm a big part of that. Fletch does have some shit to him. I need to see Fletch come back from summer workouts or come to a summer workout and look noticeably stronger. That's the first thing for a best. I need him to look like he can bench 75 pounds more than he could last year. I don't know who Purdue's strength coach is, but he's on the hot seat in my mind. Fletcher Loyer needs to get stronger. If that happens, I think there's a world where Fletcher is the breakout guy on this team. Maybe he scores 14 a game. If that happens, Braden won't score as much. But yeah, just makes all his threes, doesn't have a dry spell in the middle of the season, has some shit to him, and makes his first all Big Ten team. Not first team, but maybe second team all Big Ten. Fletcher Loyer with a really, really good season.
Hmm. I think Fletcher's pretty blind to the haters, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe.
He just needs to play better.
I think the haters are getting louder, though. I don't think
They
they've
are.
been loud until now. Now I think they're getting louder. We think Miles Colvin's going to start at 3. Miles Colvin averaged 3 points a game last season. What is a best case scenario for Miles Colvin?
I think best case scenario for Miles Colvin is he is gone after this year because he plays that well.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah. I think best case scenario is you have a guy with his size and, a shooting ability and athleticism, and he shows that. Like, I think the thing is, I don't think that he'll take this level of a jump just because he didn't have the experience enough last season, even though he did play somewhat sparingly. But, like, depending on what you think about Miles Colvin, is his best case not a Jay Ivey-esque jump his second year?
I think Ivy showed a lot more in year 1 than
He
Miles.
did. I know he did, but like it's cheating to say it, but like a Jaden Ivey light, a Gildan brand Jaden Ivey jump.
So I'm gonna be honest. If there's one player from this Purdue core that I'm a little more down on than the others, it's Miles. And more on that when we get to Cam Heide's portion and some other players here. I think Colvin is the most one-dimensional, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think he's not a passer. He's not a playmaker for others. He's not really a big-time rebounder to me. I don't think he's going to do much other than shoot the ball and hopefully make shots. And on a team that has Braden and Fletcher to an extent and a post threat, they're not going to ask him to do much more than that. Like I can't really imagine a world that's like featuring Miles Colvin this year, and that wouldn't be what's best for him or what's best for the team. So to me, the best case scenario is tied strictly to 3-point shooting. Can he shoot like, sounds crazy. Could he shoot like 50% from 3 this year?
50.
He shot 41% from 3 last season playing 8 minutes a game, but we joked about it. He would come off the bench after not taking his warm-ups off for 3 weeks at a time and swish 2 threes. So like, could he be Kobe Bryant, but start for Purdue and be Kobe Bryant?
Oh, 50 is asking a lot. It's asking a whole lot.
Kobe Bryant was great. If Kobe Bryant can do it, Miles Colvin can do it.
Well, Kobe Bryant is also like 6'8".
Okay, could he be 6'4" Kobe Bryant?
6'4" Kobe Bryant looks like 47% from 3. I'm with you.
Okay, I'm with that. That's our best case. Cam Heide, this man looks phenomenal in a tank top.
Best case scenario for Cam Heide is honestly, I think the best case, and this might be the best case for Purdue as well, is that Cam Heide is the Robin to Braden Smith's Batman. I think that having Colvin as a role as a knockdown shooter, having Loyer as a guy who's like a knockdown shooter basically, and then having Cam Heide step up as like the second guy to Braden Smith, I think would be the best case scenario for Cam Heide and Purdue.
Yeah, so Cam Heide is like the breakout candidate I really do believe in for Purdue. And we've been in arguments all week in the Discord with people like, who should you believe in, who should you not? You should believe in Cam Heide. Cam Heide was one of the most efficient players in the country last season. He was better from the floor and better from 3 than Miles Colvin was. He took all the bench minutes away from Colvin by the end of the year, for the most part, until the national championship game got here. He's bigger. He can defend. He's an athlete. That dunk in the national championship game is still playing on repeat in my mind. I think this is Purdue's best wing. I think it was going to be Purdue's best wing, even if Cannon Catching showed up. I think the best case scenario for him is you can never take him off the floor. He's a 35-minute-a-game guy. He shoots 40% from 3. Maybe the averages still aren't super high because I think it's going to be run through Braden in the post. But, like, I think he could be a 13 or 14 a game guy with 5 rebounds and assists per game. Super efficient. And there starts to be talk of, like, this is an NBA athlete. You need to draft him.
Like, so he's gone, best case scenario after this year.
I think if he plays really, really well, there is a world where he will be considered a first-round pick by NBA franchises. Yes.
Worst case scenario is he's not as good as Cannon Catchings.
That would be bad. We think the starting center will be Trey Kaufman-Renn.
I think best case scenario for Trey Kaufman-Renn would be I think best case scenario for Trey Kaufman-Renn is that he's the best big in the league.
Numbers.
16 a game, 8 rebounds, and like a cheeky 3 assists on there as well.
Just a really cheeky.
A real cheeky 3 assists.
16, 8, and 3.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like Malik Renew's numbers last year at Indiana.
Yeah. That's where I was getting at somewhat.
15, 6, and 3 from Malik last year. So that's like the best case for TKR is just 1 extra point and 2 rebounds more than Malik Renew.
Yeah. Because I think Malik Renew is going to average that this season.
Interesting. They're going to call me crazy again, Cart. They are.
They always do.
The best case for TKR is he's like 19 a game scoring. I almost said 20, but I don't want people to kill me.
19.
Cart, this was the best player when they did the overseas trip and Edie didn't play. TKR was the best player on the floor for everybody that watched him. He was featured. He was unstoppable. He started out of position last season because Painter wanted to reward that. And whenever Edie got into foul trouble, TKR destroyed everyone. Like he was the best player on the floor in the game against Illinois that they won when Edie barely played. So, like all we've really seen when Edie's out is TKR's featured and he kills. Until we see something else happen, that's kind of what I expect to happen. Now, I don't think to me, Braden's the best player, and there's too much wing talent here for him to really be featured like that. But I think TKR's best case scenario would be some of the wings aren't ready, and they need to double and triple down on post feeds as the heart of the offense. If that happens, I think the scoring upside's really, really high. I don't think he has 3 assists in his game because you don't need anybody to pass the ball when you have Braden. To that point last year, nobody averaged 2 assists on the team last season because Braden did everything. I still think that's what's going to happen. But scoring-wise, I think the ceiling is extremely, extremely high for Kaufman-Renn. First team All-Big Ten for sure is the best case scenario.
That would make Paint the happiest too. To just keep it alive.
What would make him most happy is actually what happens next. Daniel Jacobson, what's the best case scenario for the 7'2" freshman?
Leads the Big Ten in blocks as a freshman.
How many minutes does he play?
25.
Is he coming off the bench?
Starting best case scenario.
Does he get any All Big Ten honorees?
No.
Best case scenario for Daniel Jacobson is that he is Purdue's starting center from the very first game. He is Purdue's second best player from the very first game. He leads the Big Ten in blocks. He makes shots from outside. He shoots like 35% from 3. And he's the runaway Big Ten freshman of the year over the Rutgers guys. I don't know where Cart went. I think I lost his respect.
I can't wrap my head around the fact that the kid blocks a couple Argentinian accountants, and now he gets these accolades.
It's a best case scenario. His ceiling is
okay. You know what? And I let everything out. I'm putting my foot down. I'm not being a pushover. There you go, Sleepers fans. This is where I'm putting it down. Come on, man. Come on now.
Cart, the best case scenario isn't they push TKR out of position again? That's a best case scenario.
They do. You had me with the starting. You even had me with leading in blocks. But the second leading scorer?
Second best player on the team is what I said.
Second best player on the team?
Second best player behind Braden. Yes. That's the ceiling. That's a best case scenario for Daniel Jacobson.
Ceiling and best case scenario are different.
What is every other Purdue player doing on the U18 USA team?
What is every other Purdue player doing?
Yeah, because he was the second best player on that team, and that team's full of future NBA guys, right?
Yeah, I think that TKR would have been MVP. I think that
What do you
Cam
think Caleb First is?
I think Caleb First is actually doing better than what Jacobson did.
That's insane.
Right, Caleb First today?
That's insane.
Caleb First today.
So do you think Steven Crowell today is breaking Miles Turner's record in that tournament?
Yes.
That's insane.
Yes. Literally, yes.
I think it's insane. I think you're downplaying this.
I'm not. I think Derek Queen would do that. I think everyone would do that.
Derek Queen might. Derek Queen wasn't there. Daniel Jacobson was there.
Okay.
Blame Tommy Lloyd. Like, what do you want from me? He was just the second best player on this team full of future pros, future college stars, 5-star kids.
He was second best?
Yeah, Acuff was the best. He was second best.
Okay. He didn't make like all tournament team or whatever for the U18.
In my opinion, the box scores we saw, the film that we watched, the actual game footage we saw, he was clearly the second best player.
Agree to disagree.
I mean, if you're going to take this stance, like we're doing best case scenario, so you don't think he has a high ceiling in year one?
I think a high ceiling for him will be leading the Big Ten in blocks year one.
That's definitely a high ceiling, yeah.
Yeah, that's it though. Everything else.
If you're just taking issue with he's the second best player on Purdue.
Yeah.
You don't think he could be better than TKR this year?
No, not a world, not a chance, not even a highest ceiling best case scenario where he's better than TKR this year. Zero, absolutely negative possibility. Can't wait for this to be clipped and backfired, but no.
We
none.
already saw
not a world.
We already saw Painter go away from a guy like Travion Williams for a 7-footer before, though.
Not for just any 7-footer. The 2-time National Player of the Year 7-footer.
Sophomore Zach Edey wasn't the National Player of the Year. Let's not act like he was polished like that.
Sophomore Zach Edey's better than Jacobson.
Definitely.
Freshman year Zach Edey's better than Jacobson.
Definitely. He's Zach Edey.
Freshman year TKR is better than Jacobson.
Dog, junior year TKR scored 6 points a game last year. It's not like this is some crazy bar for Daniel Jacobson to be better than. Like, I know we believe TKR could be good. He averaged 6 and 4 last year. That's not insane to think that the second best player for Team USA could be better.
Jacobson leads a tournament in blocks where he had Messi's nephews just literally at all of 6'4", coming at maximum, trying to challenge a 7'3" dude, because I don't know if that translates into Argentinian, and we're just acting like this guy is trans. Like, I think we just need to pump the brakes on Jacobson.
Saying he's transcendent. We're doing a best case scenario exercise.
I know, but it's just not sitting right with me.
Okay, we're going to have to do, if this is how you got through the best case scenario exercise, we have to do a full what is Daniel Jacobson's role going to be conversation later this week, because you've been holding things back, and we need to have that conversation. Okay, down the list here, Caleb First. What's the best case scenario? Is he going to play?
His best case scenario is probably, honestly, would saying his best case is that he starts with the 4 next to TKR?
I don't think that could happen. I'll be stunned if Caleb First is in the rotation, and that's
best case scenario is that First has a Gillis-like role on this team.
I think that might be even a little rosy, because you don't want to play him at the 4 if you're Payne, and he's not a 5. Like, Painter's never going to play him over whoever the better 7-footer is as the backup center. So is he earning minutes at the 4 over Heide? Like, over TKR next to the 7-footer? Like, no way, you know?
So what's your best case for First?
He's in the rotation at all. Like,
just in the rotation? Okay.
Like Ethan Morton-esque. He plays every game, usually. That might be a little harsh, but
that's probably right, though.
Jakari Harris.
Red shirts.
Come on. He's going to be their backup point guard, I think. Him or CJ Cox.
I mean, I think best case for Harris is honestly just shit doesn't fall apart when he touches the floor when Braden's not on the floor. Otherwise, Braden's on the floor.
All right, that doesn't seem very optimistic. My best case scenario for Jakari Harris is freshman year Jaden Ivey.
And what did that entail?
Really comes along in the second half of the year, earns more minutes, and ends up being like a 20, 25 minutes a game guy off the bench. But then by next year, this time, we're doing like massive breakout Jakari Harris conversations.
Oh,
Yeah.
alrighty
Like
then.
there's real dialogues about like, is Jakari so good? Fletcher Loyer needs to play the 3. Or like Miles.
Jaden Ivory averaged 11 as a freshman.
Yeah.
You think Jakari Harris has that? Best case scenario? You're
By the
right.
end of the year, he's playing like that. I think that could happen.
Oh, okay.
He's the only other freshman I believe in this class. I'm kind of out on Benter and Cox.
Okay.
Burgess. Anybody, any of those guys, Burgess, Benter, Cox, do we need to name any of those guys?
I don't think so.
Okay. So overall, add it all together. What's the best case outcome for Purdue, the team?
Best case is that after all the back-to-back National Player of the Year that they had in Zach Heide, Braden Smith ends up being the reason they get over the hump finally and win a national championship.
How many minutes is Daniel Jacobson playing if they win a national championship card?
At max, 14.
I don't know. I feel like they're tied together.
Their best case scenario, Jacobson doesn't touch the floor because TKR is so great at center and Heidi's a killer at the 4.
They still need other bigs. They need a bench.
Which is where Jacobson plays that max 15 minutes.
The best case scenario for Purdue is that Cannon Catchings is horrible at BYU.
That's it.
And that Purdue, you're right. Purdue wins a national championship.
And then somehow Purdue plays BYU in the tournament as the 9 seed. And then they wash them.
Purdue sweeps Indiana. Purdue wins a national championship.